In 2019, JoyNews investigated the underhand dealings of a cartel hoarding and trading premix fuel at exorbitant prices. The investigations further revealed how the operations of the cartel also created an artificial shortage of the commodity at the landing beaches along the coast of Ghana. The management of the premix supply and distribution is not only an issue of livelihood, but a political one that caught President Akufo-Addo's attention to make a firm promise of reforms and the introduction of new moves aimed at resolving the problems.
Given the efficient distribution of premix fuel, we will continue to use the premix fuel tracking system and audit landing beaches measures which have ensured that since November there's been no report of premix diversion.
Despite the president's affirmation, the teething challenges lingered on. The regulations of the Premix Fuel Committee demanded that a fisherman get a maximum of 1 barrel of fuel per month. Even that quantity is for fishermen with large boats and canoes. The premix fuel is to be sold directly to the fishermen and not middlemen. But 3 years ago, JoyNews investigations revealed that there were many middlemen aggressively buying, hoarding and selling premix fuel.
Because you won't go far or landing beach no do. My one a big cry about electricity. Meaning big or child or classroom. Teacher no what now but two premise no do. No to my hand. In your one gas or ban will be bad in DC. It be catch up band as a dama. Omo madra the monk of no fat no fence far from Nakasana or Haman.
These individuals have formed cartels that hoard the product and later sell to fishermen at exorbitant prices. Kobna Alakan is a young fisherman at Dutch Commander.
Connection functional na what can be what you may wear bit some second dinner ni eliminate and new tech right now. One drum you to to bear 12 million. And see Abanama you get my head after yeah help. Put in up what you bring out for now. That was the champion where you cook. Otunu ancient connection from so head me. Auto no somewhere in the water what you mean. If you are one drum here to bear 5.3 no. I want was someone to me it been 12 million 11.5.
No one is checking these cartels. There are more fishermen in need of premix fuel. That is, the demand at the London beaches far exceeds supply. Secretary of the Premix Committee in Commander, Charles Williamson, agrees.
So whenever the tanker of fuel comes, people are starting struggling. You are struggling to get yours, others are struggling. And you can hear a lot of words about governance and so. I mean, you can hear all these words coming out. Why? Because the fuel is not coming enough for the fisheries. The canoes are more than the fuel that we receive.
Okay.
We have about 4 outlets in Nigeria. But moreover, we feel very bitter problem.
This is the problem many fishermen face. One of the middlemen I found is Kofi Agau. He illegally sells several barrels of premix. He is not selling at the official price. Agau has not been appointed by the Premix Committee and is not supposed to have access to this quantity of fuel, but he does.
Thank 8 gallons. Okay. The everything. .2 as in like metal back like I said on class to show 1 gallon and 13.
About 100 meters away from where Agau operates is Mensa Obi. He is a middle-aged man and has been plying this trade for more than 5 years. I can count at least 10 barrels of premix fuel he has hoarded. Like Kofi Agau, Mensa Obi also sells the fuel at twice the original price.
But yeah, no, I am in my way. It's about 75 by 15.
Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia 3 years ago promised to digitize the distribution of premix. Under this arrangement, no individual could buy premix without showing an ID card identifying him as a fisherman. This has only been piloted in the Greater Accra region. Today, the story is no different. At the Central, Western and Volta regions, unbridled hoarding by the cartel and politicization of the premix fuel distribution goes on unabated. It's even worse with a nationwide shortage of premix fuel.
But petrol na ko ma aw be fie na kwakoto no so be ko no asa de ko ofna to no woto ne mahen.
It is 2 p.m. and fishermen at Voja in the Volta region are drawing their nets from the sea. A sense of uncertainty rests on their faces. They are anxious about whether their chance and toil will bring a bumper catch today. A poor catch means they may not be able to pay for the cost of fishing nets, the canoe, and the premix fuel, the fuel they might have bought from middlemen. Kwame, as I decide to call this fisherman, is in his early 20s. He places a call to a middleman in a plow. He is disappointed by the scarcity of premix fuel at this London beach. Scarcity has made the product very expensive. Chief fisherman at Voja, Joshua Adboto, tells me it's become extremely difficult for fishermen to get premix to go fishing.
To get the fuel for the fisher fuel is very, very hard. And some people come, they talk, say their party member come and buy it and sell it for high prices for the fisher foods.
He says the fishing business will soon collapse if government does not introduce swift interventions. He already has a debt of 51,000 Ghana cedis.
If you go buy you go and buy the premix for high prices, and you go to the sea, you don't catch, and tomorrow too you go and buy it high prices, you don't catch. The business is collapsing.
This situation is no different at the Elmina London beach. Kofi Teria has been fishing here for many years. He is appalled by the distribution of premix fuel here. He says members of the Premix committee and a cartel have hijacked the sale and distribution of premix fuel. He said it's nearly impossible for a fisherman to buy premix fuel at a government-subsidized price.
Premix was what you brought for. Now, say, Felini, a big job was said, now I can call her Premix and I Jacob. Equa, one would not put you down what I'm on the one shadow. What's the Wubu committee first? Committee no ibiara no wan hama nti obubu committee no ajeswo ni iwia nka na ode wacha ma ehyan nya bi no nya bi awu fali na eja wo bu asa na ade kwa we ma ade charge boted benedi no inya bi ene we bu am committee dem committee no ano na obotara am bi ogina nchan na no so aboton no connection nti support yo na ngasa competition be ho a nti tubil be potro no ho a wona wogina potro no ho woton no a dem committee na wo bu mo ho no nhwan no wodi madam connection fo no wo boton man ha na afale fo.
The JoyNews investigative team decided to test these claims by the fishermen. We posed as chainsaw operators in desperate need of premix fuel. These middlemen buy the premix in barrels. They do not own fishing boats but get a regular supply of premix fuel. They sold a gallon for 150 Ghana cedis. Under the government subsidized program, a gallon of premix should cost 60 Ghana cedis.
I have 1 gallon water now. I have 1 gallon water now. I have never to do more. I cost 2 more. What you saw, one of the souls, maybe I'll do some. Okay. I did call you. Tell on my way to this one. I pay 170. 170. 70. About you. But you remember, you don't remember. Also, half on mine. Half on also won't half mine. The one is what time? Okay, half. The coffee oil, I hand the half. Premix, the coffee oil, your pen beer. In half. Yeah, Moses, when you have. The coffee oil need a pen. We are by a bush in half. Bobo, also up your half, Chimney. The frat oil near the pen beer. Chimney. Chimney fish on your pepe. What's your cabin? A friend said, you have to have 750 now.
The premix fuel is usually blue in color. This is to differentiate it from diesel or petrol to dissuade people from diverting it. However, the JoyNews investigative team found out that the premix fuel sold to fishermen at Elmina and other landing beaches is colorless, sparking concerns of possible diversion. With the gallons of premix bought by the middlemen, the investigative team heads to Yamransa in the central region, where the premix fuel cartel operates. We meet Richard Wood, a premix smuggler. He offers to buy our premix fuel. He says they purchase the diverted premix fuel in large quantities, hoard it and resell to the fishermen when it is scarce. At this London beach, the investigative team spots a fuel tanker filled with premix fuel. Richard and his counterparts tell us there are routes created to facilitate the diversion of premix to their base.
By 15 years, you 15 because we say from the landing beach. Load no oba more. Okay. Then by the oil nana high price. Oh, okay. Price in high. Okay. So over the mouth. Say Niskapada in your bid. Okay. In your bid down. Okay. What then I'll be part to buy $10. When you hammer, business or business. Or keeper on tone down, but keeper. No, I is then for full struggle. Sometimes one by happy to walk for because when you baby, price all the time. No further. Okay. You pesco, you pesca for far. Salon my 1,000. For draw. Vanessa, I'm so much oh, yeah, confinement to that. Oh, yeah, market to that. I'm a patcher. No, we are not make a show. So I didn't know, say, yeah, Benoit, because I'm 1,500, them 1,000 of them, and can you propose? Because it's answer to them. Or be no bottle, yes, I also bottom. Almost no for Kate, also bottom. Oh, okay.
This is not the only burden weighing down the fisherfolks. It's the politicization of the Premix committee and the hijacking of the Premix distribution by persons perceived to be affiliated with the governing party. A former member of the Premix committee at the Voja landing beach, Moses Inchuga, confirms this claim.
It happened. I remember one Mr. Is a government appointee, I can say. Sometimes when a fool come here, he used to come here to monitor. But before you realize, he placed order that I'm so and so, they will give him 30 yellow containers, sometimes 40. He will not take it away that time. He will keep it with someone in the community. After the one we receive finish, he will start selling his to we the fishermen at a high price of 120 cedis.
The administrator of the National Premix Secretariat, Nana Asare, says laws frown on the politicization of the Premix committee. He says the Secretariat will probe into the claims.
There are laws governing these landing beaches. You can serve for 2 terms and renewable just 1 term only. These are basic laws that have been passed by Parliament. Nobody has the right to circumvent what is written in white and black. So recently, the National Premix Committee has embarked on what we call recomposition or reconstituting most of these landing beaches. And you should go and see the level of work and the diligent work that they are doing. They want to make sure that you have the right people on the committee. If you're not a fisherman, if you are not a canoe owner, you don't have the right to represent canoe owners. If you're not a fishmonger, you don't have the right to represent, fishmongers. So it's something that the committee is adhering to the latter. And anybody who has a challenge with it can always test it in the law court. A lot of times we leave things to chance. If you have a problem with a landing beach, if you're a chief fisherman and you realize you are not a member of the landing beach committee, you have a right to ask questions. So we should learn to ask questions. We should learn to interrogate the system. People just don't sit anywhere and just assume that it is politicized. It can be politicized.
But contrary to this claim, Kweku Wisdom, a member of the current Premix committee in Voja, says he was appointed to the committee based on his affiliation with the governing New Patriotic Party. He has been a lotto forecaster for the past 3 decades. He has been appointed a net owner on the committee, but he doesn't own a fishing net. He says this position was a reward to him for his service to the electoral fortunes of the party.
Oh, I'm the time I'm held in, I've been fishing with my uncle.
Oh, okay. But now you don't fish?
No, I'm not going because of my health.
Okay. So it means you don't own net, do you?
No.
What would be your contribution on the committee, given the fact that you are not an active player in the industry?
Only I have to talk them the way they will manage and they will receiving the premise. Because we are the old member for MPP, but how we are not getting anything from them. That's why this MNC put me there.
Okay, so it's like a reward for your service to the party.
Yeah.
He further added that the government plans to digitize the distribution of Premix, which will flash out the activities of middlemen who are exploiting the system. He provided an update on where the automation of Premix distribution is.
As I speak to you now, we've gone back to cabinet. Last year we had cabinet approval, but we had to go back to cabinet again with another proposal. I must say that government has approved that proposal again. We've gone to PPA. Now we have PPA approval. So now we have to form a tendering committee to look at the proposals of these companies that are proposing to do this automation system for us. So the minister or the ministry led by Honorable Mavis Hawakumsin is pursuing this agenda rigorously. You realize that the minister is always on her toes talking about this automation. So it's something that she wants to make sure it happens. And God willing, this year we'll see some pilots across the country. And I think it will really bring some of these incidences that we are having to the barest minimum. That is what we are hoping for. So I must say that we are on track.
Ghana's fishing industry is on the brink. Depleting fish stock as a result of illegal fishing is killing the sector. This has implications for food security and the livelihoods of thousands of fishermen. The situation with the management of the Premix fuel worsens the problem. However, the promises made 3 years ago have not fully materialized. The middlemen have taken over the distribution of Premix fuel. Only time will tell whether the digitization of distribution of Premix fuel will solve this difficult problem.